I already talked a little bit about writing the song Boss You Around in my last little behind the scenes creative process videos. So if you haven't watched that, go check it out. But I do want to say, I was talking to my partner recently about how like a friend of ours couldn't get the song out of her head, and she was like spanking her partner, and I was like, that's that's what I want to put out into the world. Like that's my mission as an artist with this piece of art that I've birthed from my loins is that all bottoms feel empowered to once in a while just like take control, embrace that verse energy. Like you don't have to be a pillow princess all the time, you don't have to be bossed around all the time. Once in a while you can boss around too. And that's, that was my journey discovering that in myself, and I just want to gift that to the world. As far as the video goes, I was a little stuck on this one. There's so many of my songs that I just like from the second I write it almost I have like the visuals kind of going on in my head, and it's like all so clear and cohesive. And for this one I was like, I'm not sure exactly like what I want the concept to be. The only thing I knew was that I really wanted to feature this kind of like Fosse jazz style choreography that I'm like in love with. Like I never get tired of rehearsing the choreography for this song. It's so perfect. It's so me. It's so fun. I have this like wonderful background in burlesque that like I sort of stumbled into, and it was something I was always kind of into and just like curious about. And I literally used to practice stripping in my room in high school, and I was obsessed with Dita Von Teese and like just the way I danced, the way I moved, the kind of music I like to dance to, always kind of resonated more with like the burlesque style of performing, the bumping and grinding and that kind of stuff. And so when I was doing burlesque, I felt like I really started to understand how to move my body. And I've always been in love with like jazz and Fosse and like Chicago and that style of movement. And when I was researching like music videos and pop star choreography, when I started to choreograph this song, I was watching like old Janet Jackson videos. Even though her style is like a little more hip hoppy, I still love the kind of intricate, like really on the beat, heavy, almost like sort of Janet's style is very much like Michael's style. It's like very like almost masculine, but still fluid. And I was just really into that. But the one that struck me as the most like what I was going for was Paula Abdul's music video for Cold Hearted Snake. And they even like do a little Fosse shout out in the beginning of it. And it's this like super sexual dance, and they're like partner dancing, and it's all wrists and, like like Fosse style little nuances. And in the video like the record executives or whatever are watching it, and they're just horrified at like how sexual it is. And I was like, okay, that's what I want. So I choreographed it super easily. Like as soon as I started figuring out the first 8 count, it just like flowed. And all this like grindy, nasty burlesque, like stripper floor work, which is my favorite thing in the world. Like put me on the floor and let me writhe around and I'm happy. So that was sort of like the easy part. And I knew I wanted to wear like a Betty Page, sort of like Mary Jane shoes and like lingerie. I knew how I wanted to do my hair, but the through line of like the B-roll and like what's the anchor point of this video, I just like could not figure out. And I was talking to my partner about it one day, and she was like, you should do like a like sort of a cheesy, like almost, do I have to say corny or can I say the real word? Porny, like a boss kind of scenario, like a suit and a desk, and like make it sort of camp and like lean into that aspect of it. And I was just like, perfect. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. And so it was a bit of a process when we did Washed Up Imposter, like because it's so dark and like We only wanted, certain parts of my body lit at certain times. We shot it at night in our apartment, which is like a small Brooklyn apartment. And it worked really well for like not having the room well lit, because we could just have the outside the perimeter of the pentagram was just like a disaster, but you can't really see it. And I could just like add a little black vignette and it was good to go. But trying to do this video with like bright lights, like the white wall, full body choreography, like standing, trying to fit it into a horizontal frame so that it could go on YouTube, was just like a nightmare. And we like worked all day in our hot living room because we don't have AC in there, shooting this thing forever. I was exhausted by the end of it, just dancing for hours. My partner's exhausted. Stuff was falling on her head as she was trying to shoot it. The sun just decides to beam in at a certain point. So when I went to sit down and edit, this is like the struggle of doing it all yourself. The video, it was like one take was the choreography was perfect, but the lighting was like so bright that I didn't have a face. You could just see like my pink white hair blending in with the white wall, zero features on my face. The next one was like my arms or legs or shoes or whatever was out of frame. The next one, it was like everything was good, but the dancing wasn't good. It was just like a freaking nightmare. So we had to clean up the living room, put it back into place, and then on another day, a week later, tear up our bedroom, move the mattress out, put the bed frame on its side. Oh, when we were filming in the living room, I also had to tilt the couch up on its side, so it's just like standing up in the corner of the room. It was crazy. So once again, down and dirty, taking everything. It was like we moved. My dog was so upset, just tearing the bedroom apart, because I thought if we could shoot from the hallway, we might have a little bit more room so we could fit my whole body into it. And I was on my period. I was like exhausted. I was over it at this point, but we ended up filming it. Everything looked great. There's like all this really cool B-roll of me like throwing everything off the desk and like climbing up and grinding around. And it turned out really good. And I'm really happy with it. And I just love like being the kind of artist, even though it gets me in trouble on TikTok, and it makes people like, it can be divisive. I love being just one more person in the line of like pop artists like Madonna, Lady Gaga, like these controversial, like sex positive artists who are sort of irreverent and like postmodern, referential. Like they bring everything that inspired them up until this point into like the totality of their work. And they own their sexuality and they own like their own power. And I think being an out queer artist, I take that like even one step further, and out queer and like pretty in your face about it. And I love that. Like I love embodying that. I love the journey that I've been on, like figuring all of that out. I love the art that inspired as I was living it. And I love being able to like reconnect with this music and these songs in a visual way, and like learn how to be a filmmaker, learn how to convey those feelings in a different format, and also getting to love them again and like be excited about them again. Because this one I wrote so long ago. It was like, I don't even know anymore, like 8-9 years ago. So I've been living with them a long time and they get kind of passe in your own head. But through this process of releasing the singles on the album, just like one by one, I get to give each one its little moment and celebrate it and fully explore it and flesh it out and feel excited about it again. So that's how Boss You Around came to be Boss You Around.